Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the TheSayReport. And what can I say except Mel Brooks made it? Yay!
God loved a man.
He's 100 years old. Betty fucking White couldn't do it, but goddamn Mel Brooks did it, and I'm so happy. I'm really happy that even though we're not releasing this until tomorrow, the man's birthday is June 28th. So no matter what, he made it to 100. Now, if our conversation here in the studio should jinx Mel Brooks and he passes before this releases, eternal apologies. I will take all the responsibility for that. But just motherfucker.
In the words of Mel Brooks, only the good die young.
Yeah, so he ain't never gonna die. It's gonna be 100 years from now. We'll be like, he made it. He's 200, and he'll be well on his way to being the 1,000-year-old man.
And Spaceballs 3 will be coming out.
And we're finally doing Spaceballs 3. He'll be like his head on a thing of eyeballs. I watched some Aqua Teen this morning.
Yeah, nice. I've been going down an Aqua Teen hole lately as well.
Hi.
You know what's weird is the reason it even happened is YouTube has been pushing a bunch of like supercuts and like 5-episode chunks just playing continuously, like live channels just play just 5 episodes of Aqua Teen over and over and over again.
You know what's
but really, sorry, you were going to do
I was going to do our intro. I was going to make sure people know, but I want to stay on this topic because it's an important topic, because that's the exact reason why I went down an Aqua Teen Hunger Force hole, is that YouTube has been suggesting things to me. And I've seen them and I'm like, maybe I'll watch them sometime. But this morning it suggested The Meatwad Has a Family from, I want to get the title correct, so I need to look this up. And then we'll tell you who we are, right?
If this is can I ask you, have you been getting them labeled really weird? I've gotten this a bunch lately.
Oh,
I got
a
collection of Aqua Teen, a collection of the PJs, and a collection of the Bob Newhart show, all labeled new 2026, and then like show name, episode, like a season 30 episode 2 or something, and it's just like, what the fuck, like as if it's been running all along and these are brand new episodes of the Bob Newhart show. Or like Aqua Teen is one of the other ones that it's been recommending. I thought there was a legitimately new Aqua Teen, because that show kept dying and coming back and dying and coming back, and never, like, they ran that shit into the ground. Like, well, and to be fair, that's not a criticism.
No, it's not a bad thing. However, the thing that is not how they're suggested to me. They're suggested to me like normal things. I don't know what the hell
you did to the YouTube algorithm.
I'm sure it's real. I don't doubt it for a second, but like they're trying to trick you into thinking there's new episodes of the Bob Newhart show. That's hilarious.
There's certain things that YouTube thinks about me, I guess. But anyway.
But like it's from season 11, episode 8, the last one forever and ever. Open parentheses, for real this time. Close parentheses. Open parentheses. We ellipses mean it. Close parentheses. Which is hilarious because then there is a season 11, episode 9. Mm-hmm. And then, that was 2015, there is the reboot from 2023 that was 5 additional episodes.
Right.
So, I don't know. But it was the whole scene where, like, spoilers for the season 11, episode 8 of Aqua Teen Hunger Force. The last one forever.
We're getting real specific in these special episodes, Dev. I'll tell you
this isn't a special episode. This is just a regular episode. I mean, it's special because Mel Brooks fucking made it. But Shake dies and Frylock dies, and then Meatwad goes on a date with a woman, and they have children. And like Dale was like, "This has to be a dream sequence." And I'm like, "No, this is how Aqua Teen ended." Was with everybody's dead, so Meatwad settled down with a human woman, had 2 children named Pinkwad and Hankwad, and now has troubles doing the hot dog. I was watching this one the other
day. There's that episode with them. There's that scene with them in the back of the car, right?
Yeah, Who wants spaghetti? I do. I hate restaurants. All right, lock the doors. It's a bad neighborhood. Villains every week. And that's the end of Aqua Teen, until it wasn't anymore. But for a while it was.
Lock the doors. There's villains everywhere.
That was pretty good. Hey, Meatwad, I didn't know you were here. Can you do the hot dog?
No. No, man, you gotta go get Master Shake, because Master Shake said that he's the only one that's allowed to touch that stuff, and I said, you don't get to touch that stuff, that fucking shit is mine.
I don't know whose clothes they are, but they're not going to want to wear them again. Hi, welcome to the TheSayReport. That's what we call a cold open, boys. This is the TheSayReport. I'm Devon Decker. He's Sejohn Sarowick. If this is your first episode of the TheSayReport, please comment that, because I owe you an apology. I'll send you something. You'll get something. I'm serious. First episode of the TheSayReport, you had to deal with 5.5 minutes or whatever the fuck that was. I'm sorry.
The longest Simpsons couch gag ever. Yeah.
I mean, isn't there like a Simpsons couch gag that's half the episode of The Simpsons? They've gone a little off the edge with
the Rick and Morty one. I think went on for a while, right?
Yeah. I don't know. It's something that we could research, but let's not do it during the show. What we are going to do during the show, I don't know if you've noticed, I've got a real good energy. I have a lot of things I'm excited to talk about, but I think I've determined exactly where my good energy is coming from, and I am sending the trailer to Sejohn right now. We're gonna pause for, let me make sure I know the length of this. We're gonna take a brief pause for 3-ish minutes. It's not gonna feel like any time has passed for you, but we're gonna go watch the trailer for Digger, and then we'll be back to talk about the Digger trailer. So we'll see you in a second. That, Sejohn, is the last trailer they played before Supergirl when I went to see it last night.
That's wild. But I'm very confused.
What?
Is it not a documentary about Tom Cruise?
No, it's not. So, it's in the supplemental material. If you're in the Discord, you can see the exact trailer that we just watched, which is for Alejandro G. Inarritu's comedy of catastrophic proportions, Digger, that stars Tom Cruise and has the craziest fucking trailer I have ever seen in my 40 years on this planet. And this is a reminder, I used to watch trailers for a living, and that's still the top spot. Because
I know that movies like to try and movies sell themselves on the people that are in them. Duh, obviously, right? Like the number one piece of marketing material for any film is who's in it, right? Because like people will go and see anything that say somebody like Tom Cruise does, right? But man, do they really lean into that?
CJ, I want you to know that is full of quotable moments that I quoted along to, or that I finished the quote. It was awesome. And it wasn't just me. It was Dale, who was sitting behind me. We both said, I've learned in this life that sometimes you just gotta say, what the fuck? And we're like, in Supergirl. Like, it's a PG-13 movie. And it's like, I don't give a fuck. That's what happens. Because I have watched Tom Cruise's movies my entire life. Because my parents really like Tom Cruise, right? While kids were watching The Little Mermaid, I was watching A Few Good Men every weekend.
So, but is this a movie that... So it's a preview for the film Digger,
yes.
Right? And, like, if you watch this preview like I just did, you would be forgiven for mistaking it, like I just have, as being some sort of Tom Cruise documentary. Like, the way in which that they'd, like, point to all of these other roles and show you all of these scenes from other movies. I thought we were just going to be looking at just, like, this dude has had a fucking life. Like, let's talk about it. Which is, I mean, at this point in the dude's career... fair. Like, I mean, like the guy has had 4 decades worth of just like nonstop, like just box office draw and shit like that. Like, yeah, let's talk about that. But it's not. It's for a whole other movie entirely. Is it like a movie that he like wrote or something, or like did he?
No,
I don't understand.
Okay,
is he this is a script I've been trying to make for 40 years and I finally get to make it type of shit? Like, what is going on?
So I promise that I am going to read the log line off of IMDb, but first I want you to know that as this trailer continued, I'm like, are they doing a fucking Tom Cruise cinematic universe? Are all the Tom Cruise characters about to meet to save the world? Because holy fucking shit. Oh my god, a Tom
Cruise documentary where Tom Cruise interviews himself in character.
An interview with the Tom Cruise. Saturdays of Thunder with a few good men. Oh my God. All the right moves. A man of legend. Jerry Maguire. It legitimately, I'm like, are they gonna do? First of all, it starts with I feel the need for speed, and I go, woo, Top Gun 3. That's what I said in the theater. I'm like, this is Top Gun 3's trailer. What better place to premiere it than in front of Supergirl? But no, that is just a bunch of Tom Cruise stuff leading up to this year. He's in a movie called Digger. And the log line is, first of all, to answer Sejohn's first question, the writers on this are Sabina Berman, Alexander Dinelaris, and Nicolas Giacobone. I don't know if I pronounced those correctly. I'll say that. So it's not like he wrote it.
Did somebody okay this? Did somebody from, like, it's like marketing went fucking rogue and was just like, oh my God, we get to work on a Tom Cruise movie. We finally get to work on a Tom Cruise movie. Let's talk about Tom Cruise so much.
Well, let me tell you. Let me read the log line, and I think maybe it will make a little bit more sense why this is how they decide. First of all, I am buzzing. I am absolutely. This trailer gets me fucking going. God, I love all these movies.
Yeah, because it's not really a trailer for a new movie. It's a trailer for a bunch of old good movies that you already know you love.
Right? But I tell you, October 2nd, 2026, my butt is in the theater watching Digger. A film described on IMDb as the most powerful man in the world embarks on a frantic mission to prove he is humanity's savior before the disaster he's unleashed destroys everything. Yeah, I kind of understand why you'd show all these incredible Tom Cruise movies, because I have to believe he's the most powerful man in the world.
I know.
And humanity's savior.
Yeah, one of the things that I know about like the new material in the trailer, the little bit there is of it, like no joke, like a quarter of this trailer is new stuff from this new movie. The rest of it is all interstitial like bits from every other Tom Cruise film ever made. But there's this feeling to it where it is going to be very much a character study, and it is going to be camera on him the whole time, and it feels almost something like I think about that project. Was it Woody Harrelson that did that one? That was One Night in London, where it was like live.
The live movie?
Like,
God, I wish that night hadn't gone as terribly as it had.
That kind of, I mean, I'm going to use the term vanity project, but that has some negative connotations to it. But I don't mean it that way. It's just that it is a unique experience in the theater. You don't often get to see people doing this kind of stuff on this scale type shit, right? And like, it feels like maybe that's the kind of movie it's going to be. Which, to that point, selling it on Tom Cruise is key if he's going to really, I mean, for all intents and purposes, be the only person in it, right? Like this idea that like it is going to just be the Tom Cruise show, like I get that, but it just seems disingenuous and unfair to all parties involved. Like from a marketing standpoint, and the idea that this is supposed to get me to go into a movie, like it's just. It feels so hollow, like shallow, right? Like that's what it is it's just so shallow. So this style of marketing. So
you say that, but the most important thing about this trailer is that it does mention it's a film from Alejandro G. Inarritu fairly early on. And can you name another film by Inarritu right now? Like off the top of your head?
Not off the top of my head, and I'm also trying to remember when they said that in the trailer.
Yeah,
I didn't
it might not have. I mean, like the trailer that's staring at me on IMDb, that is the first frame of it. I had to pause it. So I don't know when it says it in the retrospective trailer. Inarritu, he did Birdman or The Unexpected Virtue.
Oh, right.
So. Like, you talk about, like, I need to finish it, The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance, which I did know that. I don't know why I didn't trust myself on that to say it. That Birdman was pretty much a huge glamour project for Keaton. And The Revenant, as much as Tom Hardy was there, I don't like how I just said Tom Hardy's name. Apologies to Tom Hardy. I was born. Like The Revenant was all about Leo. These are the types of movie that he makes. are like
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
about one character. But like you mentioned that like it seems like the camera's gonna be on him the whole time. There's that scene where he's like, you just bang, bang, bang with the truth, right? Like that whole thing. He's dressed as a cowboy, and you see him in
it's just
profile
him
and
in
shot
a-
from profile.
Yeah.
And he's talking to somebody.
yeah.
There is somebody else in the room. But during that scene in this trailer, as part of the like, a quarter might even be being generous. I feel like only 10% of this is original content from this movie, Sejohn.
No, I agree. I was being too kind.
The camera is not stationary. It literally is if you're sitting there and are like transfixed on Tom Cruise's character as he like, because he like takes a step back and the camera tracks him while he does that in a way that feels like your eyes are meant to move with this character. You never want your eyes off of this character. As far as I'm concerned, the only thing that could bother me about Digger is if it had a jazz drum soundtrack again. And not that I have any issue with Birdman's jazz drumming soundtrack. It's just, we've been there. We've seen that. I want this whole movie to just be Dire Straits songs. You're going to put money for nothing in the trailer. I want all Dire Straits songs. Dire Straits and Tom Cruise, take my money now. Take my blood now.
Yeah. That's some buck wild marketing.
It is
like
insane
in days when we talk about all of the weird marketing tactics people take, this might be one of the most surprising ones I think we've come across.
Right, but it's also a lovely transition point for me into my only problem with Supergirl. Supergirl currently being raked across the coals by critics.
I have yet to hear a good reason.
And
like,
I'm about to tell you the good reason. Well, there's two reasons. Like, my initial reasoning behind it is 100% the marketing for Supergirl is fucking trash. It doesn't tell you anything about the movie. It has no reason. The only reason you see a trailer for Supergirl and think, I want to see that movie, is I want to see a Supergirl movie, or I want to see Lobo on the big screen, played by Jason Momoa. It doesn't really tell you, like, it lets a little bit know that, like, spoilers for Supergirl, but all of this is in the trailer. I'm not going to give any new information right here. But if you're somebody who, like, doesn't watch trailers, then I'm giving you the benefit to, like, take a quick step away for right now.
I think right now, before you say anything, I don't know if I've even sat through a full trailer of it. Like, I don't know anything about this movie. Not to say that I'm not excited about going to see it. I am. I want to get out and see this film. And I want that to be clear before we get into whatever the fuck conversation that we have to have about the weirdness around this. But I actually know extremely little about the movie.
Yeah, and so did I. Like, I knew what I did know about it, and this is from a lot of, like, videos that I've watched, because I have been constantly watching a couple of like YouTube channels talk about how this movie just like started low and has somehow found ways to trend downward. That like the first trailer came out and everybody hated it. And then there were predictions and the predictions were lower than expected. And then 2 weeks later, the predictions for the opening weekend have somehow dropped. And now we've finally seen the movie and the predicted take home from this movie has somehow dropped again. Even though we thought it can't get any lower than this. Like I've watched these people. And also one of the things that those people focused on was that they thought that crypto was going to die. And that is because in an almost blink and you miss it moment of the only trailer that I've seen for Supergirl. Now, and I'm going to tell you how many times I saw it. I'm so happy I started tracking the trailers that I see before movies again. Because especially with this summer of like YouTube made horror movies that are just fucking killing it in the box office. The reason I
forgot about one, by the way. We should talk about Exit 8 sometime. But sorry.
Okay, cool. No, that's no problem. But like this whole thing, the reason I started tracking down trailers again is because the only trailers I was seeing at the tail end of last year were trailers for horror films. And it's not because I was seeing horror films. It just felt like all we have for trailers are trailers for horror movies. So let me do this
yeah.
quick thing. One. Wow, it didn't even. That's so crazy.
I was pleasantly surprised when I went to Scary Movie, by the way, and didn't get a single horror trailer.
Yeah, that was actually kind of nice.
I was actually kind of refreshing because I remember going to see. It must have been 3. I think it's the one that's the one with Sheen in it, right?
That's where he starts. Yeah.
Yeah. And so going to see 3, and it's opening with a bunch of like PG-13 R-rated like horror trailers, which puts you in such the wrong mood to then go into a comedy.
Yeah. So I unfortunately they worked for me. Scary Movie, which I want everyone to know that when I say Scary Movie, I'm making sure that the V and the I in Scary Movie are capital, because that's where the 6 is. I'm actually a little mad that the marketing didn't
Scary
make them
Movie.
like red to do that, but also it's Scary Movie, and they're doing what they're doing. End of Oak Street and the Dog Stars, even though they're like semi-post-apocalyptic, sort like isolation stuff, they feel more action than horror. Then I saw Tony, the Anthony, oh my God, I can't think of his last name.
Oh, Anthony Bourdain.
The Anthony Bourdain movie. That looks fucking incredible. Then I saw Zach Krieger's Resident Evil, One Night Only, which is a romantic comedy that I really do want to see it. Then Ice Cream Man.
Yeah.
So I saw like Resident Evil and Ice Cream Man, straight up horror films, but it ended with By Any Means. The Mark Wahlberg, the freaking guy who plays Manta Ray. He was Dr. Manhattan in the Watchmen TV show. I need to see how to say his name. I'm sorry.
Chiwetel Ejiofor?
No, not Chiwetel. Yaha Abdul Mateen II.
Okay.
Black Manta from those two things. Like I said, that it's set in the. I'm not sure where it's at, but they're investigating the KKK in the South, and nobody wants to talk to the FBI. So they decide that they're going to pair it up with like somebody with ties to organized crime. The incredible trailer, and like really, like that's the type of trailer that should have played before Scary Movie. I also think we can finally talk about Scary Movie.
Wahlberg doing his Green Book, right?
Yeah.
like
I'm like, what are we gonna call this one? Mean Book? Like I don't. But it looks really good, and that one felt the most on brand to play before Scary Movie. Like I'm going to say that. Like, so that one set me off on just a great mood, and we're finally going to talk about Scary Movie 6, but we're just talking about trailers. I only saw trailers for Supergirl 3 times this year, and I've seen at least 20 films. So like, and every time I saw a trailer for Supergirl, it was the same trailer for Supergirl. That really didn't tell you anything. Like, it was almost just like visions flashing, except for the fact that one of the brigands shoots
Visions in this movie?
No, brigand. No, I'm an asshole. You're an asshole. It's like a montage, Sejohn. Like, but one of the brigands shoots Krypto with like a dart, and so Krypto is poisoned, thus making the whole plot line that Kara has to go and get a cure for Krypto, and there's like a ticking time clock and everything around that. And that seemed to be what the movie is about. The movie is about so much more than that. Yes, that is a part of the plot, but there is so much more going on in the film that like is not revealed. And a lot of the critiques of the movie, and I think it's on marketing, is that people are like, it looks so dingy and dirty compared to the optimistic bright colors that we got from Superman a year ago. And like, yeah, but also there are moments that are just purely beautiful, and he didn't include any of those in the fucking trailer. So you get like that whole, like, remember when video games were just shades of brown? I think we call it the 2010s.
Man, I love New Vegas. I love Gears of War, that era. But man, like, give me fucking color palettes, please. Jeez.
Yeah, like, especially right. I was just talking about Double Dragon Neon. As much as like I'm not a big Ubisoft guy, Far Cry Blood Dragon as like an FPS that was neon colors and 80s references. Like, yes, give us more of that. right?
I mean, to be, to give credit where credit's due, the Far Cry team has always been very good at that, because I mean, even if you look at things like New Dawn, right, like being just
True.
gorgeous
Very
as well,
beautiful.
and like very colorful and stuff, and the like, yeah. So like there are people out there that were trying to do that stuff in the middle of all of that, but man, there was a time where you just slapped a green filter over everything, essentially.
Yeah. And that's what this movie looks like. Supergirl does not look like a fun movie. And then I'm sitting there watching. I loved this movie. I'm sitting here in front of a microphone telling you that I loved Supergirl. Do I have maybe a couple of like questions about it? Some small critiques of the script? Yes. But nothing that took away the fact, like, when you love I love Sejohn, right? But I can admit that there are some flaws, as Sejohn loves me, and I know that Sejohn has 2 whole composition notebooks full of Devon Decker flaws, right? He started the 3rd one right now.
Wait, when we all start catching strays in this conversation, what's going on, man? What the fuck?
What? I think I made myself look like the worst person in this. I'm just saying, but everybody, like, even when you love a part of loving somebody is acknowledging their flaws, right? Is that an insane thing to say? Like,
No, I know what you mean.
Okay.
There's just a much gentler way to say that than comparing. But yeah, enjoying a movie and being able to talk about where a movie excels does not mean that you're like blinded to the fact that there are things in it that maybe could have been done better, or maybe you don't understand why they were done. Like there's always room for legitimate critique, even in the most praised pieces of art. Like,
right. So then when you're saying that you see a bunch of these critics saying that they have problems with Supergirl, but you're not seeing a lot of like, they're not showing their work. They're just like, Supergirl's terrible. Moving on. It's like, no. Please explain to me why Supergirl is terrible. I feel like the issue is something happens in the movie, and it could be anything, because there are numerous moments in the film that are homage. Like, they feel like they're homage to other films and other things that have happened in films. And if one of those rubs you the wrong way, right? Like, just starting from what we know from the trailer, the fact that it's basically Kara on a revenge trip because her dog was hurt, right? You're a big fan of John Wick, and you're like, why the fuck are they just making John Wick with Supergirl? Like, that's where it stops. Like, there are just so many people who, rather than try to engage with the film after it hits one of those walls for them, rather than, like, try to be like, okay, so that's part of it, and now let's move on, let's see what else is happening. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like this criticism is just as like, oh my God, it's just derivative of this other work, and then I don't want to talk about it anymore. I don't want to give it any more critical
it's fair.
thought.
But I do think it's fair that if you hit something that you're just not enjoying about a piece of art, you're allowed to peace
certainly.
out, right?
Yes.
Like, you're allowed to be like, I'm not enjoying this. But it's the taking it then to social media, taking it to the internet, and being obnoxiously loud about it. That part is the part that rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah. Or like actual critics being like, this movie just doesn't work. And it's like, well, it doesn't work for you. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's not going to work for everybody. And admitting that, like, critics it's all subjective, right? Just a reminder that even if somebody's getting paid for their criticism, it's still their subjective opinion, right? Most of the time. I mean, not like with video games.
In fact, you should question it and take it with a grain of salt even more when they are getting paid for it.
Yeah, exactly. Because, like, video games, a lot of times, they get real good reviews, because if they don't give real good reviews, they're not going to get the copies of the games beforehand to review them.
They're not going to get the access. I mean, that's the same thing with film. Like, like we could talk about that being a video game problem if we want, but like at the end of the day, that has been a rampant issue in film since the inception of film.
Yeah, right? Payola, baby. Not just for the radio anymore. Or ever. Just let's be honest about it. Anymore was the wrong thing to say there. Like, really enjoyable. Millie Alcock did such a good job. There are moments that everybody talked about Superman and how, like, optimistic and positive it was. I think that Supergirl is the more optimistic and positive movie. There is a monologue about halfway through the film that is delivered completely in Krypton with subtitles, right? It's not like I only understood it because I took the time to learn Krypton on Duolingo. I like that the little owl has the Superman symbol, though, when you're learning Kryptonian on Duolingo.
Well, Shakespeare is all the more powerful than the original Kryptonian.
Oh, of course, right? Everybody knows that Shakespeare was Kryptonian, right? Like, that's how Jor-El knew to send Superman to Earth so he could create a harem of women and recreate the Kryptonian race. Like, it's because
we don't talk enough about that fucking wild-ass twist in that film. But anyway.
Well, let me tell you, Supergirl talks about it. And I'm not going to tell you how it talks about it, but it is something that made me cheer with just the fact that, like, I can't believe they even acknowledged it, let alone the method in which they did. Yeah, that's the teaser from me about it. Really enjoyable film. I was super happy that people, I mean, I've always made the joke going back to like the Friends on a Couch days about like, man, I love that they got the microphones in the theaters so that the filmmakers get to hear when you clap after the movie. I love it that they record it and they send it to them and they let them know and they get a whole digital database and they can be like, what happened at the 7:30 show in Warwick, Rhode Island? Oh, thank God they applauded. My work is finally validated.
Yeah, it's literally and everybody clapped syndrome, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I really dig it, though. And I like that my joke now is, man, I'm so glad they got the microphones repaired because I know they were out of commission for a while.
COVID.
Yeah, COVID, right? They broke and then they didn't get a chance to fix them the whole of COVID. But like to have people actually clap after that film, I mean, like, that's good. I'm glad that people in here did it. There was a Party of Five sitting in front of me, not the TV show, though that is exactly where my mind went. I'm sad that me. Scott Wolf was not in front of me watching Supergirl.
You got me for a second.
And before the movie, it was three, there was a woman in the group, and she was talking about how this is the second time that it's a dedicated Supergirl film, and how much she loved the first movie, and I felt a little weird inserting myself into their conversation, but there's a reason why. Like, my mind is calibrated a certain way right now, and it's not because it's Tom Cruise. It's because it's something we're going to talk about a little bit later in the episode. But yeah, because she's like, and I believe it was Helen Mirren who played Supergirl in that movie, and I'm like, it was actually Helen Slater. Sorry to interrupt. It's just I love the Legend of Billie Jean. And so she's like all excited. Or like, this is the movie that I watched as a kid over and over again, was Helen Slater in Supergirl. So she was so excited to see it. And then after the film, like she was the first one of her group to stand up. She's like, I loved that. I can't wait to see it again. Like, and I'm just like, that's awesome, right? That right there is like the opposite of these people who love the 1987 Masters of the Universe movie, who saw the one that came out in 2026 and were like, well, why wasn't it like that? Why wasn't it, is it Frank Langella who ends up playing Skeletor in that one? Or Christopher Lee?
Yeah.
It's Frank Langella.
No, it's Frank Langella in that one, man.
Yeah. It's like, why wasn't Frank Langella Skeletor in this movie? Well, because Frank Langella passed away. I'm sorry. This is how you had to find out. Like,
but though, I don't know how he truly ever felt about that role, but as a true fucking professional, he talked about that role like it was one of the highlights of his career. even if that were just for the cameras, in that movie, he is 100% committed to the character of Skeletor. This is no fault of his own, but it is the stupidest fucking death of a movie villain in any movie, as far as I'm concerned. He literally just backs himself over an edge over a cliff.
But he's like, Skeletor. That's very Skeletor.
Yeah, but it's like he dies by an OSHA violation. Like, that's the worst kind of fucking death.
But first of all, him dying via OSHA violation I didn't even think of it as something like that. That, like, it's the end of Get Shorty, and oh my God, the balcony came loose. But with Skeletor,
yeah, except there's no James Gandolfini with the baller dropping of the screws, you know.
Oh, jeez, how good is Get Shorty?
Get Shorty's a good movie.
Yeah, man. To see that really made me happy, and the way that I felt, like after the movie, where I'm just like, I feel inspired by that movie. Where, like, Superman, like, it's trying to do so much to be, like, this positive film, but then that fucking twist that, like, Jor-El sent Superman to Earth to like create a harem of Earthlings and rebuild the the Kryptonian species, like be their god, like that type of stuff. The amount of people that I have had conversations with who were like, that wasn't real. Lex Luthor doctored that video to make him look bad.
I don't think so,
and I'm
guys.
like, straight up, in the film, there are like multiple moments where they're like, this is fucking the real Mr. Terrific.
We have verified.
Like, he's like, I have ran every verification that exists to the public and a few that are only available to me. This is the real deal. And like, I mean, like, and can you imagine me like, oh yeah, it's Lex Luthor. He just created this way to make Superman question himself. And it's like, I mean, that's a very Lex Luthor thing to do. But isn't it more of a questioning of yourself and your values as Superman if you find out that your father's mission for you was to enslave the world you've decided to protect? Right? Like, that's more of a mind freak.
Look, no, like this is. I very much love this movie. I love Superman. I am very much looking forward to Supergirl, especially with your endorsement of it. Like, I am totally on board. But like, there is conversations to be had about these movies and about what's going on right now, because one of the biggest things, one of the biggest cards on the table is James Gunn, right? And I love the man's work. There are plenty of his movies that touch me like really deeply in ways that I haven't like been touched by a film since like the early 90s. Like, I think that the Guardians trilogy might be one of my favorite trilogy of films ever. You know, that whole sort of thing. The dude has a very strong white savior complex in his writing. There's a lot of really interesting and troubling stuff sometimes about like the way that like white dudes are treated, and like there's like a commentary on that, and it's never at the expense of like others, so it doesn't feel like it's like malicious, but there does feel like this entire thing with Superman, if you really want to break it down, this idea that you have this high-end celebrity that is trying to be a good person and comes from a line of people that were higher privileged people that were not great people, it turns out, and he's trying to break out from that while still like, you know, maintaining his sense of self and all of this shit. He wants to be close to his heritage, but his heritage is problematic. That is the bit right now with Superman, and that is something that like James Gunn addressing that is an interesting thing for James Gunn to be addressing as a man that has gone through some strife with like the ways that like the community sees him. Like, seeing him kind of work that out on the page is an interesting way to look at that film. Yes,
it is. Especially when we get to the fact that there are magic monkeys who have been mind controlled to post lies about that person. That was a moment where I'm like,
on social media.
So I understand that like you're working through some stuff with this script. How much of that do you believe? That like it was just monkey bots who were posting lies about you. That was the real through the looking glass. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it genuinely stung when everything that happened with Disney happened. You know, he came back for 3 because he loved the crew, he loved the actors, he loved the work, and he loved the fans. So like, he knew it was a win coming back. That was never a question for him. But like, when Disney fucking gave him the boot for shit he had said 10 years ago, for stuff he didn't even mean at the time, he just like, he felt hurt, and like, he's working through that. But we also have to recognize that like, the hurt he's feeling is based on a very privileged position he was in and is still in, that he gets to make a mistake like that and come back. There are not many people who do that.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And we're seeing that. We are seeing that. So I mean, I think it's, I mean, I don't want to say anything more about it, but like, that movie is really good. And then that happens and it's like, oh, that really kind of changed my whole view of this film just a little bit. Like, my first walk out of Superman, I'm like, I don't know how I felt about that movie. Like, it's certainly a movie, but I don't know. It was on the second viewing that, like, I was like, Superman's a good film. Like, this is a really good movie. But that gave me whiplash when it happened the first time I saw the movie. I will admit.
Well, you know,
that.
it's you know what it is like it really hit me in the same ways that when I first really started digging into a lot of like darker Batman stories, where they all of a sudden started to lean into things like maybe Thomas Wayne or even some stories Martha not being the best. Right. And then, you know, who does this actually really well is the first couple of seasons of Arrow and the whole like discovery of like his dad and his mom being in this like secret society along with like, you know, Merlin and all that shit. And they handle that kind of turnabout really well in that. And what's good about the Arrow thing is like I'm not attached to those characters like I am to say Martha Wayne or I am to Jor-El, you know what I mean? Like so like when they turn around and they try and make them, you know, shady, like, you know, shades of gray. But I think of Thomas Wayne specifically in I think it's Long Halloween where they introduce the idea that the mob comes to him to as a mob doctor essentially, and you get the impression it's not the first time from their conversations, and like it tries to make Thomas Wayne seem, you know, he's trying to tell the Falcons like, hey, you know, you guys got to cut this shit out. I can't keep patching you guys up like this. But at the end of the day, he is very much aware of who these people are, and he's very much involved with like working with them for funding, and even the new movies touched on that. The Batman, with Pattinson there with Pat Bat, yeah, like Patman,
Patman, yeah,
but
the Patman,
yeah. But like even that touches a little bit on the idea that like there was some stuff going on with the Thomas Wayne Foundation. Now, it very heavily implies that maybe that Wayne didn't know this was happening, right? He started this fund, and then I think maybe even saying after he died, a lot of it started to be misused or whatever. But it still mars his image as like this like savior of Gotham that a lot of other stories kind of treat the Waynes as, right? And so like when they do that with Superman's parents, it feels like an even bigger kind of betrayal of the character, right? Because like with Batman, like, okay, everybody is a little bad. There are some stories where Batman's not really even the good guy, right? Like that kind of stuff. But with Superman, like to try and introduce shades of gray to Superman feels so counter to what Superman is. It's the same reason that the Snyder stuff never worked for me.
Well, I mean, and it's strange because the thing that doesn't work in the Snyderverse is it's questions about his adoptive family, right? It's questions about the Kents. That moment where Kevin Costner's like, keeping your secret is more important. I have to die now. That still bothers me from Man of Steel. Like it's such a, and mostly because as far as I'm concerned, like the whole thing about the death of Pa Kent, why can I not remember his first name? John Kent. The death of Jonathan Kent is the fact that it was not something Superman could have stopped, right? Is just, it's a heart attack. It is age. It is health. It's not something that with literally every superpower, because Superman's actual superpower is adapting to have the superpower he needs in that moment, right? That's the secret of Superman. Even with all of the powers at his fingertips, there was nothing he could do. He was powerless in that moment when his adoptive father died. And that's a fucking meaningful moment. So when Jonathan Kent dies from something that Superman could have easily stopped from happening, like it's just like, wow, that bothers me way more than Superman killing Zod in a moment where he like acknowledges, if I don't do something to stop him permanently, then there's no doubt the destruction he will rain upon this planet. And then that act, the act of taking a life, being the reason why I need to be better going forward and make sure I never let a situation get to that point again. Because I see just how, like, I could just kill every problem, and that's not what Superman should be. That was a really... sorry.
The death of Pa Kent also, like, to your point about how it's supposed to be something he can't prevent, like, in the most basic stories, it's he literally has a heart attack while he's working in the field. Like Soup's not even around. He's off in the city. He gets a call from mom, and it's too late, right? And so like he literally could not have done anything. And what it teaches him in I think every version of the story is that he can't save everybody. And that's a really important lesson for Superman to learn, because as being the Boy Scout of the whole group, his desire to try and save as many people as possible is one of his greatest traits and one of his biggest flaws, right? Like it is like his desire to make sure nobody gets hurt. And that was really well highlighted in Gunn's film, because like all of the stuff with him like saving the squirrel in the moment with the and not even wanting to kill the giant kaiju, right? Like wanting to do what he could to like save it. There's so much about Soup's wanting to be the guy that saves everybody, tied up in learning that that's just not something that is possible by somebody so close to him being lost in a way that his powers would have been meaningless for. I think there's one story that I really like where I think he hears his father's heart stop and he like flies as fast as he can, but it's still too late because it's the hearing of him dying that he like runs to him. That might even be Smallville. I'm trying to remember where that story was. But
I know
really
it happened, so it's something that I've interacted with, because the stuff. Like that's the stuff that sticks with me. Are these moments where Superman was so powerless, and then in Snyder's version where he's just like, "No, you got to let me die," and I'm like, first of all, I don't think Jonathan Kent would ever say that to his son, ever. I don't think that no, I don't think so. I don't think that would happen. But then also and all he really needed to do was like super speed during a time where everybody is kind of distracted by the tornado that's about to murder them all. That like you're like, I was just thrown forward by the tornado. I was able to grab my dad and then we were thrown to safety. Right? Like there's ways to make it look not like I used my alien super speed to save my dad in this moment.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's something. But so the end of it is, I think like the biggest mistake for Supergirl, and it ties into like maybe it'll be the biggest mistake for Digger, is the fact that instead of like showing us what the movie is about, they showed us a glam reel of almost all of Tom Cruise's films. I didn't see anything from Legend. I didn't see anything from The Outsiders in there. But other than that, I'm pretty sure they hit everything, right? I don't know. They have like the thing at the end of like available to own or stream now, and it's all the films that they showed clips from are just listed. And I'm
nice.
Looking at that right now, I see that Legend and The Outsiders are not on there. And those were the two that I walked away like, I didn't see anything from those two movies. Because those are...
Legend might have been early enough in his career that he didn't have like the kind of rights that he ended up having on stuff like Top Gun and stuff like that. Because I also have to imagine that he also okayed this, or at least his people okayed this, right? Like imagine being Tom Cruise and them not coming to you before doing this kind of marketing with the movie. Like, hey man, I want a little bit of a bigger cut.
I mean, you say that, but if I'm Tom Cruise and they're like, yo, this is what we're doing, I'm pretty sure the second thing out of my mouth after, that seems pretty cool, do you want to get your thetan levels tested, would be, let's avoid showcasing Rock of Ages. But maybe that's just me who hates Rock of Ages. And I will say, in a film that just straight up does not work for me on any level, it like discounting all of the people in it who we've learned some pretty nasty things about, who just are happen to be
up to and
film.
including Cruise.
Like, up to and including Cruise. Yeah, exactly.
The art that man has made, but like we recognize that like
yes,
his ties to religion are upsetting and problematic. But yeah. Anyway.
Oh, the second Jack Reacher's also not in there. It's only the first Jack Reacher that's featured in the trailer.
Well, it's more about roles than it is about movies.
Yeah, exactly. So there you are. But I mean, Taps is in there twice. And, like, I bet if you ask, like...
But how many Mission Impossibles are in there?
All of them. You know all like, 8 of them have something featured, which is just crazy.
Do they really? That's amazing.
Like, because that was the thing, watching it, I was counting. Sorry. What'd you say? Sejohn?
No, I just said more. Hello.
Oh, you're there. I hear you.
I was just, yeah, no, I was just saying I like, they touch on all of these various major roles for him, and there are definitely moments where you're just like, oh man, I forgot that he actually kind of went out of his wheelhouse on this one, because there's Tom Cruise roles that are pretty on the nose Tom Cruise roles. Like I think about Jerry Maguire as being just very much like just Tom Cruise being as close to him as possible, right? But then you remember shit like Collateral, or even earlier in his career where he's doing stuff like Days of Thunder, kind of. He's really muted in Days of Thunder, which is not something you often think about Tom Cruise.
Valkyrie isn't featured either. Like, this is fun going through this list and like seeing this stuff. But I bet
that's a bummer. Valkyrie's a
great movie, and he's super good in it. Here's the thing that I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to do the same thing. 5 people that you interact with this week, ask them if they can name an actor who's in the film Taps. And then we're going to come back and we're going to see what people say. I will not be asking.
I mean, I can tell you right now, the majority of the answers are going to be, what is that?
Yes, and that's the thing. Because, like, Taps is a movie that, like, was huge in this house, not just because of the Tom Cruise of it all, but because of the military aspect of it all. And, like, all that, like, my father loved that movie. Like, as soon as it's, like, Is Beautiful Man showed up in the Digger trailer, I'm just like, that's something we just say in our house. And Dale didn't know that it was from a movie until we finally watched Taps as a family. She just thought, like, we're just like,
that scene is so fucking
gruesome. Like, that whole movie is just,
yeah.
Like, it's a hard.
But you want to see Tom Cruise being not a good person.
Yeah, bring up Taps. Jeez. Yeah. So, but like, to go back to Supergirl, I really just think the marketing did it a disservice. And I honestly, all the scenes that I would want to have featured are the type of things that, like, I would have been mad if they were in a trailer. 'Cause like they are like cathartic, really cool moments. But you know what? Like, the scenes where she's with her parents and they're talking about, like, why they're going, like, what they have to do so that she can go on the same sort of journey that her cousin ended up going on. This is all Supergirl stuff, and this shouldn't be a surprise that, like, she was also sent to the planet Earth. That's the Supergirl story. If they took those sequences, slammed them into the not one of the more powerful ones, but like, she has a really nice conversation with her father. Semi-spoilers for Supergirl, where she's like, why should I live while you and mom are gonna die? And he gives a very good explanation as to why she should live, like, why her life is worth sparing. And if they did that in English for the trailer, but then in the movie it was presented in Kryptonian, like, that would have really worked for me. Like, as a marketing way to do that. Like, that would have been awesome, right? We're gonna do one.
I was gonna say, maybe they should have marketed it with a bunch of, like, James Gunn clips from, like, Slither and Guardians, and then I was gonna say, ooh, it'd be weird when they got to Brightburn, though.
It'd be weird that they'd be trying to sell us on, like, well, first of all, I mean, that's the other thing about Supergirl is everybody. Dale didn't know that it wasn't a James Gunn film. It's a Craig Gillespie.
Yeah, no, he's really only just on a. Yeah,
he's
just
Kevin
on
Feige,
the showrunner, essentially.
Yeah, and I mean, there's definitely, you feel his presence in the room. You feel that he was a guiding hand for the film, but you also feel like what Craig Gillespie movie was? I'm like, oh yeah, that's him. Like, because I was trying to think of one to name for Dale, and then it came to me. And I'm like, right, I like his stuff. I like the things he does. He did I, Tonya, right? If you want to talk about a film that's like that. Yeah. What was the other one, though? The Fright Night remake, which is, I love. If you've not seen the Fright Night remake with Anton Yelchin, rest in power, that is so, and I love the original Fright Night from the 80s. I think that the Anton Yelchin one is such a worthy successor to that film. There's a moment in
it's almost a different movie.
It's almost a different movie. And it has a moment that, like, still haunts me. Like 100% still haunts me. The other one that he directed where I'm just like, that makes sense, is Cruella. The Emma Stone Cruella film. So it's like one of those things where I'm like,
genuinely well received in the most hate-watchy way possible is the best way to describe the reaction to that film.
Yeah. Though, of course, his first, like, full-on feature film directing debut was Mr. Woodcock. So I understand if maybe you're like, Craig Gillespie. And that same year, that's crazy. So that means that Lars and the Real Girl probably existed, but then got a release, is Lars and the Real Girl. Mm-hmm. I can't believe both of those films came out in 2007. That actually kind of blows my mind.
Hey, man, sometimes you got to do the Woodcock so that you get to do the Lars and the Real Girls, you know?
Yeah. God, $1 Million Arm. Like, looking through his whole filmography, first of all, I think I'm almost a Craig Gillespie completionist. I think there's one film on this list that I haven't seen, but, like, The Finest Hours, that was part of my 7 movies in one day at the movie theater day. That movie rocked. I really liked that movie. I, Tonya, which we already talked about, like, he's I didn't see Dumb Money. He directed the GameStop stock movie. Like,
oh, right.
Yeah, that's the only one that I haven't seen of his filmography. So it is one of those things, though, that, like, I wonder how many, everybody thinks of it as a James Gunn film, that it's a James Gunn movie, but he's just the Kevin Feige of the DCU. It's not him who's directing and writing everything. Like, the writer on this one is Anna Nogueira, right? Like, it's not a James Gunn script, but a James Gunn
right
project.
Now. Like, I think WB. I think they want you to think about him less like a Kevin Feige and more like a what's the guy's name? Greg T. Davies, the guy that brought back Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And basically, revitalized it. And the ways in which he did not write and direct every episode, but you better believe that every single episode of that season is attributed to him and his style and his wants and his needs for what the character was going to do, right? And I think that, I'm not saying that is the way that it actually is. We're never going to know the way that it actually is. We talk about, like, James Gunn being in charge, but for all we know, they're just, like, letting him just say things into a microphone and then just doing whatever the fuck they want. But, like, at the end of the day, they're pitching his role in all of this as, I think, more a little bit of that style of runner, like franchise runner, I guess is what you'd call it in this case. But, like, I don't think that I like you're saying, I don't think that he is necessarily, like, pen to paper on all of these movies at all. No.
And I think that's the other thing, because people are like, it just looks like a James Gunn movie. And it's like, well, that's interesting, because it's really not a James Gunn movie. It's interesting that you look at it, and because you know he's working with the DCU, people are like, it looks like a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, but with Supergirl there. And it's not. It's something special. I didn't think I was going to walk away from it feeling the way that I did. And along that same line, first of all, before I, like go deep off in this topic, have you experienced Toy Story 5 yet?
No. Okay. I don't know if I'm going to right away. I don't know.
That's
like,
fair.
Like,
so I'm not gonna talk deep about it. But what I'm going to say is that Toy Story 5 was a far better movie than it had any right to be as the 6th film in the Toy Story franchise.
Interesting.
That, like, I like this. Like, it's not like I went in with zero expectations for these films, right? A tenet that we have preached on this show from near the beginning, if not the very first episode of the TheSayReport, is that, like, managing expectations is the easiest way to ensure that you have a happy and enjoyable life, right? Like, because it's the Jim Blossoms. Don't expect too much from me. You might not be let down. In Hey Jealousy, it's like, if you raise something up that is going to be the second coming of Christ, if it's going to be the greatest thing ever, all you're doing is setting yourself up for disappointment when it eventually
America 250.
but yeah, like, when it inevitably is unable to live up to the the elevated expectations that you have imagined in your minds, right? And that's the thing. But it's not like I was going into Toy Story 5. I was going into Toy Story 5 sort of like you said. You're like, I don't know if I'm going to experience it right away. I was a little bit gun-shy after Toy Story 4, a film that admittedly I only saw because at the time I was an AMC A-list member. So it cost me no additional money to go see Toy Story 4. And, you know, like, I couldn't really tell you anything about Toy Story 4. Like, that's a real statement. I like that Bo Peep was a big part of it because Annie Potts is Bo Peep. And you know how much I love Annie Potts. If you don't know how much I love Annie Potts, why are you listening to this show?
Yeah.
But, like, I cannot believe, like, it's such a good film. A lot of the critiques that I had about a lot of entertainment that is quote unquote kid coded, like, I didn't have those critiques with this movie. First, and the other thing is that, like, so what I did yesterday, I saw Toy Story 5 and I saw Supergirl. I saw a 4:15 Toy Story 5 and then a 7:30 Supergirl. I was in the same seat for both of them. And then Dale joined me for Supergirl because, like you, I'll see Toy Story 5 when I see Toy Story 5. This is not, you know, appointment viewing for me. And I get it. That's why I was questioning whether or not the ticket sales that I was seeing for Toy Story 5 were legitimate or not last week. Because, like, it was, like, sold out. And I'm like, nobody seems to want to see this movie. And even then, up until 10 o'clock yesterday, I was the only ticket sold for the 4:15 Toy Story 5 at the movie theater. And then when I checked it at 4 o'clock, like, it was not almost sold out because it's in one of the big auditoriums. So, like, those auditoriums, unless it's like a movie that you have to see, the front section is usually not sold. Right? People would rather go see a different showing of the movie than be down there with their neck all, like, craned up and walking away like Elaine at the end of the Seinfeld where she loses her button, where Kramer's trying to restore the theater. Serenity Now, Lloyd Braun. The gum. It's Chinese gum, Jerry. Like they'd rather see something else. But almost all of the seats were sold in the middle section and the top section of that theater. And there was one ticket sold. I bought my ticket on Wednesday, and I was the only ticket sold up until when I checked at 10 in the morning on Saturday, still the only ticket sold. And I'm just like, this is weird. This seems strange. And I figured you'd have some walk-in traffic, but I didn't think it would be as full as it was. And that was kind of nice, right? Like, I understand it. And I won't say anything about the movie other than, well, first of all, do you know who does the, like, song, the featured performer of a song in the movie?
It's Tay-Tay, right?
It is Tay-Tay. Okay, I had no idea. Like, I had no idea until her name showed up.
Dude,
and I'm
her
like,
marketing. Look, I am in a Taylor Swift household, so
that's
like,
fair.
You know,
That's
people
very
that are
fair.
not into this sort of stuff, like I you know, it is what it is. But no, like we've been following it for a bit because her marketing for it, as usual, has been phenomenal. She hinted at something like months ago. She like tweeted like you've got a friend in me, like, or, yeah, and everybody was like, what? New Toy Story coming out, and she's tweeting Toy Story lyrics. Is she doing the new Toy Story? And then it was announced that she was, and she instantly changed like all of her social media backgrounds to like the Toy Story clouds, you know, that famous Andy's wallpaper. There was old album art that she went back and changed all the way down the pipeline to like Spotify. So like if you were listening to music that you already had it downloaded, you were seeing the new artwork with all of like the Toy Story stuff associated with it. It was a very big marketing push on her part. And probably more on her part than on Disney's, because like Disney has nothing to lose here. They just have to say Taylor Swift is in it, and that's all their marketing needs to be.
So one of my biggest marketing critiques in recent years is the fact that I'm Levitating from the Barbie movie was played like 2 months before the film came out. Like the fact that it got radio airplay and all of that, I think that was a big mistake, because in Barbie, she goes, oh, we're going to have a party at my house with a bespoke song. And then it's Levitating. And it doesn't feel like a bespoke song when it's a song I've heard on the radio for the last 2 months. Like, I think, like, I'm like, that was a mistake. Like, that's the song you keep, like, when we talked about K-pop Demon Hunters, and I talked about, I can't believe that the final song is the song that, like, I had never heard before this happened. And that, It was really impressive to me that, like, they kept it under wraps so that by the time you see the movie, like, the best song in the film is not something you've ever heard before. They did a really good job.
And importantly, the plot significant song in
Yes.
that case, right? Like that one, it's so important to the plot that song be a surprise, right? Because you're wondering the whole time how it's going to go.
Yeah. It's not the death of Qui-Gon Jinn being on the soundtrack album that released a week before The Phantom Menace. And you're like, oh, I wonder what that means. I wonder what happens to Qui-Gon Jinn. Maybe it's like a metaphorical death. Maybe he loses his faith in the Jedi. Oh, nope. Darth Maul killed him. He killed him.
He becomes the Emperor. He and then we have Liam Neeson doing the Emperor for the next.
That'd have been that would have been fucking cool, huh? If Qui-Gon was revealed. Oh my goodness, it's not what happened, and I'm happy it's not what happened. But like, had that been the thing, that Qui-Gon was freaking, I can't even think of Sidious's non.
I mean,
Palpatine.
Star Wars is technically a Marvel property now, right? So they could totally do a what if on it
if they really want it. Yeah, that'd be great. That's it. They should do Star Wars.
Can you imagine if they started doing?
God.
Yeah. Oh my God.
What if Luke was?
Idea.
Oh my God. What if Luke was raised by the Organas and Leia was sent to Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen? Boom! Right there. I'd watch the fuck out of that. That'd be incredible. I'm sorry. That just got me really excited. It got me really excited. And like, it's not as if, I mean, Star Wars was always kind of a Marvel property because they did the comics, didn't they? Like in the 80s?
Yeah, they definitely did. Yeah.
So, like, that's why, Indiana Jones and Han Solo actually met each other in a comic. And canonically, and I mean to the world, Bigfoot is Chewbacca. Sent forward in time, because they're a long time ago. I don't know. He winds up on Earth, and Chewbacca is Bigfoot. Bigfoot is Chewbacca. So it's not like they don't have some experience with that.
Right. No, Marvel was your go-to for that kind of stuff back in the 80s when you couldn't guarantee people could afford home video, when they cost like $100.
Yeah.
One of the other ways that you got this kind of shit into kids' hands were like short stories and comic books. So like little novellas of films and stuff like that became huge in that era. I love the Star Wars ones. I've got A New Hope and I've got Empire. I need Last Return of the Jedi is the one that I need to get. But I've got like from the 80s versions of them that are just so fun and they're so good. But that's how you watched the movie, You know what it was for me in the 90s was was Viewfinder. The little Viewmaster, I mean.
Yeah.
I would get Viewmaster slides of films that like I hadn't even seen yet and would just fall in love with movies just based off of stills. I think that might explain why I love stop motion so much. Because just stop motion is literally just every shot is a piece of art, right? Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, you know what I think of when we talk about that stuff is that Mirage and Archie did published versions that were adaptations of the Ninja Turtle movies. And the fact that the Mirage stuff took these movies and made them the gritty black and white versions, while Archie made them the colorful versions. Because, like, those are the ones the kids are going to buy and the adults are going to buy the Mirage version. And even though, very famously, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, everybody had it, right? And one of the reasons why they were able to subsidize the cost of that VHS and kind of put it into everybody's hands was that Pizza Hut commercial that started it, right? And then they realized, oh, we could sell ads on movies and subsidize the cost of VHS so that people could actually own them, right? And not just have to rent them.
Yeah.
Even though that existed, they still did exactly what you're talking about. It's the same thing we talk about with soundtracks, right? There's a reason why Footloose and Top Gun have incredible soundtracks, and it's because you're not going to be able to just watch this movie whenever you want. So relive the scenes with the iconic music we put behind them.
100%. Yeah. I mean, especially when you get into like the late 80s, early 90s, because you end up getting a lot of those soundtracks that have like movie bits on them.
Yeah.
Like, I think half of the Clerks soundtrack is just like 2-minute bits from the movie.
Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back is the one that, like, it is legitimately like lead up to the scene that features this song and then the song.
Right.
Like, it is, and that was awesome. Like, because I had just gotten a car that had a CD player right around that time. Same with like Clerks 2, like that same sort of thing. But it's not that. Like, there's I think of the King of the Hill soundtrack, which I think did it better. No offense to those, but I really love how the King of the Hill soundtrack, the end of every song is a clip that sets up the next song, whether it's a reference to how it was used in the show or like an episode that featured that artist. And I love that they're like not separate tracks, but like you're supposed to sit down and listen tip to tail to that King of the Hill soundtrack to understand that.
Oh yeah, interstitial cutting is actually this really interesting thing that's evolved over the years, because I've listened to I think I think I'm trying to think if it's The Offspring or if it's Green Day. There's an album that one of them has. Green Day definitely has Jaded into Brain Stew, I think it is.
That's it, yeah.
Where like it's this and like I have a version of that album where those two are split, and I have a version of that album where they are not. And I don't know where I got one versus the other, you know. And when I say I have them, I mean digitally. Like, I don't have them, right? So it could even just be like a fan edit of some kind or something like that. But like the way that is out there, it's like the cut where they're together feels so much more right. Or if you go back to Queen, We Are the Champions being
after,
cut with
We Will Rock You.
We Will Rock
You into We Are the Champions.
Yeah, right. Which is crazy because people don't ever think about those two songs being together, but like there are versions of that album, and there are like, you know, greatest hits albums that feature the two of them just sewn together.
Yeah, and it worked. It's so awesome because like it's telling you the story and it's all right there in front of you.
Right. Well, and there's literally a guitar riff that bleeds from one into the other, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome. It's fantastic. You're not, but yes. So I don't know what we're talking about. Yeah. So Toy Story 5, I will wait until you actually see it. Like, I think it's something that when you see it, we'll discuss it. But I'm, as much as I am endorsing Supergirl, that same level of endorsement for Toy Story 5. And I did not think that's how this was going to go when I saw that movie. Like, when I told people I was going to see Toy Story 5, the reaction I mostly got was, why? Like, why are you going to see Toy Story 5? And my response was always, it's for the show, right? It's something that's going on. It way overperformed what people expected it to, right? For a Pixar film where, like, Pixar has kind of been having a bit of a rough time with the fact that during the pandemic, the Pixar became synonymous with Disney Plus. So people were not going out to the theaters to see those films.
Yeah, specifically straight to streaming, right? They became synonymous with straight to streaming.
Yes. So like that whole thing. And yes, we had the Elemental film that was like strangely popular, but after the fact. Like, it didn't have a great opening weekend, but there was nothing else in theaters, so it eventually made all this money on that momentum we don't see in with releases anymore, right? Power Ballad, a film that we will eventually be talking about, I think probably in our 500th episode, because it's thematically appropriate. But like, That movie's already available to stream. It came out on the 5th of June and released on streaming this past Tuesday. So the 23rd of June. That's like not even 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That before that film just was available to watch at home. That's kind of crazy. Like especially as like people who like so much of our lives before the pandemic, right? And I'm talking you and me, even before we were doing this show. So much of our existence was dedicated to explaining to people the like 90-day window from theatrical distribution to like home video availability.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like we were real stewards of that particular topic with our friend groups, especially in college. Because
like we would have friends that would like we'd be doing Walmart trips and they'd be looking for a movie that like had only just come out.
Yeah,
it's like I don't know where you think this movie's at right now, but we're not gonna see that till like Christmas, man.
Yeah, if you want that movie on DVD, you're gonna have to go to the movie theater with a camcorder, tape it, and then burn it to a DVD. Because it's not gonna be available for 3 more months.
Or, go hit up the engineering kids because they probably already have it.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about the engineering kids, right? Ever. This is a show about everything but the engineering kids.
Everything I learned about server structures and sharing, I learned from them.
Oh yeah, man, I miss those days of the internet. My freshman year of college, where there was just, remember how like Apple computers just talked to each other? Bonjour, like bonjour messaging. Like if you have an Apple computer and I have an Apple computer, we could just communicate with each other because we're both on Apple machines.
Yeah, right. Basically, if you were in the area, right? Like, Apple has never really shied away from that connectivity aspect because I think about airdropping, right?
Yes.
And the idea that like people airdrop shit, and it's like they've never learned their lesson because I mean, going all the way back to Bonjour, like giving free access for anybody with another device similar to yours to suddenly have like any way to contact you, not really a great feature. I don't know why they think that's like a selling thing.
Right. And then, but the thing that I remember was that using that, there was a huge peer-to-peer network that was just every Apple computer on URI campus. And you could just
that's true.
Take anything from anybody else. If the person, like, you did have to give access to that, and I didn't give access to mine.
Sure.
But I most assuredly would go into other people's stuff and be like, ooh, I like this movie. I'm going to take this movie. Ooh, I like this song. I'm going to take this song. Like, but, and also, like, we just released our X-Men The Last Stand episode as a very special episode. Again, you only get those if you're subscribed to us on one of the RSS feeds. So go to Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, subscribe. That way you don't miss the very special episodes. And I talked about my first friend on URI.
I appear to have lost you, Dev.
Lost me. I'm right here, Sejohn. I'm telling stories about my first friend from URI. I know it bothers you that you were like my 17th URI friend, but I don't do podcasts with those other 16 people. Do I? You've not lost me. But like that first friend that I was talking about, right, whose father was a producer on the 10 and led to all those crazy things.
Oh, right.
We are friends because she bonjour messaged me. That is how we became friends. So like, that's it. But it was some engineering kids, right? I'm only kidding. Well, we are still a show about everything. It was just fun to be like, the engineering kids, right? I didn't have, you lived with one, right? Like one of your roommates was an engineering kid. That's how that happened.
Yeah, it's how I got in with all of them. Is that my roommate freshman year ended up moving into the engineering house for subsequent years at school, and it was a pretty sweet deal. It was honestly what it was one of the last frats on campus, but because it didn't call itself a frat, it didn't get kicked off. They were and they were much more regulated by like the actual school itself in that regard. But
that's the same thing with diversity house.
Little plays.
Like, that's why
Yeah,
Diversity
yeah,
House
yeah.
was so great. When Will lived there, and I'm
Right.
like, oh, this is just like a frat house, but like school-sanctioned frat house.
Yeah, no, it's they were good experiences for the people that got to be in those places because, like, I don't know if you know much about engineering kids, but a lot of them are very awkward.
Oh, no, you don't say.
So like letting them be with like people that are also kind of, learning the new things about the world at the same pace as they are, I think was very healthy for a lot of those guys.
Yeah, no.
But one of the cool things about getting in with them is that like they were always up to some weird fucking project, whether it was like trying to figure out how to like make fireworks or like how to or like there's all sorts of like cool shit that we would be doing.
Yeah. And it was an engineering kid who was like pointing out like, oh, you have an Apple? You should totally get on this website and you can just have access to everybody's stuff on campus. And I'm like, cool. Thank you for that. Also, I'm realizing that saying my first friend on URI campus being this woman who randomly messaged me on Bonjour and like straight up with the whole Devon Decker, what are you, a superhero? Like, she quoted Donnie Darko at me, and somehow that's my first friend on URI campus. That's also real, like, dismissive of the two roommates I was assigned freshman year, who one of them I would never have considered a friend, and the other one I wouldn't have, like, called my friend until, like, maybe a week after we'd been living together. Like, I certainly hope that the Ben and Sean don't listen to this. It'd be crazy if they did. If my freshman roommates somehow found this podcast and then listened to this podcast, that would be insane. And with the, like, insane 5.5 minutes that this episode started with, and the way I'm tempting fate right now, 80 minutes into the episode, 100%. Hi, Ben and Sean, who are somehow listening to this episode right now. Jesus.
And again, apologies to the Brooks family.
Oh, Jesus. I mean, apologies. We did say he's going to live forever. Who knows? Sejohn, you're the reason I watched Blazing Saddles for the first time. I want you to know that. That feels like a thing I should tell you on this show. Also, as we're speaking about X-Men The Last Stand, I kept saying that they lived on Krakatoa. It's Krakoa. Krakoa is the name of the paradise utopia that was set up by
What is
the mutants.
Krakatoa, though?
Krakatoa is a Southern Pacific volcano. So it exists,
right.
and I understand why that, but yeah, it's Krakoa. And the other thing about Krakoa, this is fun because you're here somehow from the very special episode, which, like, I know there are people who only listen to our very special episodes. There's not a lot of crossover between a standard episode and a VSE, so it'd be great if you're here and you're hearing this now. The other thing about Krakoa is that every mutant was immortal. Like, that was the big selling point of Krakoa as a utopia, was that if you die, you are immediately resurrected. And not as a baby that needs to grow up, but it's like Groundhog Day, Edge of Tomorrow style. Like, you just
the next
respawn.
day, everyone's back,
like, Kenny McCormick from South Park. Like, you died but now you're back as you were. I had to get that out there. Do we want to talk a little bit about Scary Movie 6? Like, I don't think we should spoil anything, but, like, you saw it, and we had a whole plan. Like, we were probably going to do, like, a mini review episode on it. We were hyped for that movie. And then I got really sick the weekend it came out.
Yeah, but I ended up still going to see it that weekend, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. And I poked you because I was like, you got to go see this one, man.
Yeah, so I finally saw it on Wednesday. That's when I was buying all these movie tickets, is that there was a beautiful Wednesday showing, like I could just get there in time for it to start after my shift ended. And I did. I walked in, and I was the only person in the theater. There is something truly magical about watching a movie like that alone. I legitimately was engaged in a conversation with Scary Movie 6. I hope people understand what that means. I know the movie wasn't actually trying to communicate with me and wasn't communicating with me, but it was one of those, like, they would say things or they would do things and I would respond as if it was a conversation. I'm the crazy one. I just want to make sure that, like, I'm the crazy one in this scenario. And it, again, like, I feel like this statement is going to lose its punch and pizzazz. But that movie was also way better than it had any right to be as the sixth movie in the Scary Movie franchise, right? Especially after Scary Movie 5.
One of the yes, that's true. But like one of the things that I think is really important about this film that I don't know if anybody's really talked about or punched up too much is the return of the Wayans brothers, right? And this idea that this wasn't really a Scary Movie 5 so much as like a Scary Movie like 2.5.
It was Scary Movie 3.
It was, you know, like, yeah.
Yeah, it was like...
So it had a really interesting vibe to it in that regard.
Yeah, exactly. What we got to see was the timeline where after Scary Movie 2, the Weinsteins, boo hiss the Weinsteins, took away creative control from the people who, like, started the idea of Scary Movie, the Wayans brothers, and gave it to the Zuckerbergs to continue it. We saw 3 movies from that universe, and now suddenly, 26 years later, we finally got to see what it would have been like if the Wayans brothers got to make a 3rd Scary Movie film.
Yeah, and I think in that regard, I think that would have been a much more interesting thing for people to really kind of be thinking about, right? Because for right now, it was just like people were feeling like there's a reason we stopped making the movie, guys. Like, and that's the other thing is that the Scary Movie franchise got tied to then every other movie that stole their shit afterwards. You know, like National Lampoon's Dirty Movie. There was the Disaster movie, right? There was
Superhero movie.
All of these. Superhero movie that like some of these had some ties to this shit, some of them didn't. Then you got to the really weird ones like Stan Helsing, right? Remember that weird one?
Wait, there's the one that I want to make sure I give the title properly. The 41-year-old virgin who knocked up Sarah Marshall and felt super bad about it, from 2010. There's that one. Meet the Spartans.
Man, that was one of those ones.
Like,
yeah, Meet the Spartans. Or I Know What You Did Last Friday I Know What You Did Last Saturday the 13th or something like that.
No, okay. So there's Saturday the 14th, which is like from the late 80s, early 90s, and then there's
but
there's Shriek.
Amber Thiessen is
the one that you're thinking about is Shriek If You Know What I Did Last Friday the 13th from the year 2000, which is meant to be, it's an almost movie twin to that. I mean, the fact that I'm pretty sure Rex is in that movie. Like the guy who ends up becoming the thing. Yeah, Simon Rex is Slab in Shriek If You Know What I Did Last Friday the 13th. So him coming into Scary Movie 3 like weirdly ties it to what was essentially a movie twin to Scary Movie. Actually, now that I've gone down this path, Shriek If You Know What I Did Last Friday the 13th came out February 21st of 2001 in Finland. So I actually don't think it was a TV premiere October 17th in the year 2000. It never got a theatrical release. Movie, where Scary Movie...
But I remember it being on the shelf at every Hollywood Video, man.
Oh, man. I used to, like, look at it every shift. It was sort of my, like, proof that I was still in our universe, was that Shriek was there. And, like, it's not... I didn't go as far as to, like, the little piece of tape to see if it had been moved, but, like, I kind of knew exactly where it was located. So, like, during my, like this is where I left it. So anytime I would be, like, fronting shelves and things like that, I checked to see if anybody touched it. Yeah, where Scary Movie comes out July 7th of 2000. So, like, Shriek If You Know What I Did Last Friday the 13th really does feel like a response to Scary Movie, in addition to being one of those, if it came out, I don't think it went into production after Scary Movie hit. It was probably something that was being worked on. I want to know when Saturday the 14th came out, because I like those movies. I do like Saturday the 14th. They're stupid. 1981 is the first one.
Yeah.
And then Saturday the 14th Returns is the sequel. And when did that come out? Come on. Connections. Which is really funny that it, like, I have to go down as far as I do. It's not even up there, right? What the heck?
Yeah. Saturday
the 14th Returns. Strikes Back. That one's from 1988. And features my favorite Martian himself, Ray Walston.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. There's all sorts of really good like horror comedies throughout history. It's not like Scary Movie invented that, but it gave birth to a very particular type, and that is something that you mentioned to me. I don't know if it was on mic or off, but how much those movies, the Scary Movie movies, weren't just about scary movies, right? Like they were really making fun of all of culture at that time just through the lens of a scary movie, because that was like the most surface level thing at the moment, right? Like horror movies were hitting big, slashers specifically were hitting big again, and it was this huge cultural shift to that kind of like film experience. And so they touched on that. But they also, as I mentioned, in the very first Scary Movie, like they don't just make fun of Scream, they're also making fun of The Matrix, right? They're also there's moments in it where they're making fun of other films that are not necessarily horror films, and this one. And it's not that the non-Wayans Brothers ones did that, but it's that, like, having that movie right now is interesting because there's not a million other movies doing that at the moment.
Right. I mean, yeah, you talk about the non-Wayans scary movies, and the immediate thing that jumps to mind is the 8 Mile moment in Scary Movie 3. That, like, moment almost feels like too small a way to describe it, because the movie turns into 8 Mile for like 15 minutes. Like it goes on a long time.
A really long time.
Like almost to the detriment of the punchline, because the punchline is pretty great, where he does a really, like, he actually flames the guy and then he puts his hood on like Eminem does in the movie, but his hood is a KKK hood. And it's just like, I forgot what we were doing by the time that happened. like, where am I? Am I watching 8 Mile? What is happening? But yeah, so Scary Movie, the 6th Scary Movie, like it was just really good at the whole, like, spoofing celebrity culture, spoofing films, spoofing itself and what it has become. And, like, the thing that I was thinking about, what I was going to discuss with you during this episode, was if, like, maybe we should rededicate ourselves to looking at those parody films. But then, as you just brought up, there was a real decline in them, because it stopped being about us having something to say about where pop culture is cinematically, and really more about, we can dump these movies out in 6 months and they have a return on investment.
Right, because there's two roads you can go down with parody, right? Like you can stick to a very particular subject and it becomes like a critique on that one particular thing, or you can get a little bit more broad and it can just be kind of just like a general critique on, like, the world at the moment, and people can connect with it. There's a lot of risks with that latter one, though. One of those risks is that it's very tied to the moment. It's very hard to go back to those movies and still truly get the same hit that you did when it came out, because you're just not in the same moment any longer. Whereas, like, the ones that stick to a specific thing that they're making fun of, that generally is what it is, and so, like, those jokes are almost timeless. But from that, right, the other thing, the other risks that are going from when you do the latter of those is that, like, you also, like, it's an easy trap to fall into. You can start to write jokes, you can start to write circumstances that are suddenly not just making fun of the thing that you're poking fun at, but also becoming that thing, and sometimes the worst version of that thing, and so, like, pointing at a lot of like, you know, the plotlessness of this franchise is very interesting. Is like, oh, yeah, but now this movie is plotless because of the ways that you've been, drawing attention to that. So like it becomes kind of like they fall into the same traps that they're trying to make fun of other movies for falling into.
Yeah, you either get out profitable or live long enough to see yourself become the parody. That was pretty good. That was pretty right? You know what? Also, now that we're having this discussion, in the wake of that Tom Cruise supercut trailer we talked about at the beginning of this whole thing, that could have very easily been a trailer for Hot Shots 3, based upon our findings that Hot Shots is not a parody of Top Gun, but a parody of Tom Cruise's films up to that point.
I know.
Like,
oh my God, if they had done, now see, that would have been gold. If I had gotten 2 minutes of Tom Cruise stuff, and then all of a sudden the title card that popped up was Hot Shots 3, I would lose my goddamn shit.
I lost my shit anyway, but like, oh my goodness.
With Ashton Kutcher.
No, with Charlie Sheen. But then, he takes a step back for like his kid, a la Top Gun Maverick. I don't know, but like that,
Charlie Sheen dead?
Charlie Sheen's alive, right? Oh my God, I hope so. I just watched all of Anger Management again. I really like that show. It's so much better than the movie that it's semi-based on. For not really at all. No, Charlie Sheen is alive. Good for Charlie Sheen being alive. What's he? He was just on the show.
I don't feel bad. There's a bunch of threads of people being like, "Wait, wasn't Charlie Sheen dead?"
Well, I mean, like, very publicly, he was honest about his HIV/AIDS diagnosis, right? Like that. So, and I understand why you wouldn't put him into Scary Movie 6, especially now having seen Scary Movie 6. But, like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's Charlie Sheen, and he was a very divisive figure 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So I understand where that whole thing is. And I understand, like, you don't see him in the public eye. Yes, he was in the TV series Bookie, but those 3 episodes, he's completely uncredited. So what is the last thing? He was in a film called 9/11 that released in 2017 as Jeffrey Cage. Holy shit. Can I read you the log line on that movie?
Yes, please do. No, please.
5 people find themselves trapped in an elevator during the September 11 attacks. They soon work together, never giving up hope to try to escape before the unthinkable happens. It is Charlie Sheen, Gina Gershon, Whoopi Goldberg, Luis Guzman, Wood Harris. Like, I don't know who the 5 people are, but I'm guessing those first 4 that I read are probably 4 of the people who are in the elevator.
Wow.
Like,
wow, man.
Like, this is a movie I feel like I need to watch. Bruce Davison is in it. Like, that sounds insane. That's a movie that Charlie Sheen is in that came out in the last 10 years. It says it's streaming on Prime Video. Please don't play a trailer for it. It is included with Prime. Jeez. Well, I guess I know what I'm doing. The 3 people who are featured on the poster are Sheen, Gerson, and Whoopi Goldberg. And nice. Then their names are listed. So Guzman is not featured on that. But, jeez. Like... Okay, that seems to be the last actual movie he was in.
All right.
So yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. Well, speaking of films on brother? Prime, just like one other thing that I wanted to talk about, just because we had been mentioning all of the success of like the video game to YouTube to film pipeline and how that's been really the big hit thing this year. One of the ones that we haven't really talked much about, and I think we can be forgiven because the world hasn't really talked much about it, there was a film that came out called Exit 8 this year that is based on a game of the same name. Do you know much about that series? So
Exit 8 will for always be, to me, this party house that was off of Exit 8 in Rhode Island. That one
Well.
night I was invited to a party there, and I'm like, yeah, of course, I'll go to. I'm always up for a party. If you invite me and I don't have anything else going on, there's a good chance I'm going to show up at your party. And I ran into my cousin there, and she was mortified to like that I was at the same party as her. Like, she saw me across the room and somehow stealthily marched over to me and was like, what the fuck are you doing here? And I'm like, I was invited. Be chill. This is not how you act. You should have not come over to me if you don't want people to like think about the fact that we're related right now. Like, I don't know what to tell you. This was a mistake. So that's what Exit 8 will always mean to me. But no, I'm not familiar with the film. I love the Mobius strip artwork.
Yeah. So there's a genre of indie horror that has really taken off since the release of PT. That is like the endless corridor haunted house style thing, right? And along with that, there is another genre that's become very popular lately that has been the anomaly horror video game, where like you see the same thing over and over, but then something is slightly different. And they're spot the difference games, but with a very big horror slant to them, right? One of the most famous ones being Observation Duty, where like you go through cameras a la like Five Nights at Freddy's style, but what you're doing is you're looking for differences in the images, and then every now and then you see like, oh, this one has a man in it now, or this painting's different, or this thing has moved, and then like you click it out and they give you points and all that shit. So it mixes those two genres. It is this like PT style endless like loop of corridor, of the same corridor over and over again, mixed with this anomaly aspect where suddenly things start to like little things start to change here or there, and like those changes are either meaningful and good, or sometimes they're awful, sometimes they're just straight up just like death. Like there's all sorts of things that can happen in that game. And the idea is that just to give you an idea of the game loop, as you're entering a subway, right, and you're about to leave the subway station out of exit 8, but as you leave, you realize the corridor loops. And then what it is that if you see something bad in the corridor, you turn around and go back, and then when you go backwards, you actually loop in that direction instead.
Oh, God.
But then if you see something good or you don't see anything at all, then you can continue forward. And the idea is that what you're trying to do is you're trying to keep moving forward to the point where you eventually get to the actual exit and leave, right? That's how the video game works. So the movie came out, and it was a small release. I don't even think it was an American release. I'm pretty sure it was an Asian release. And it was... it was cool that it came out. People talked about it, especially in the same breath as stuff like Iron Lung, and specifically Backrooms was another one because it has a very Backrooms-esque kind of style horror feel to it. This idea that like something's just off a little bit, and so it suffered, though, I guess, from all of the critiques that I've heard about it. The reason that it did not take off is that it feels very meandering and kind of plotless, and to the point of people who really like the game series, that was actually a very big win for them. It's like it didn't feel like it was like adding story to this thing that essentially didn't really have one, but more like exploring what it would happen to this particular person in this situation. A lot like what the Backrooms actually got a lot of praise for, was that it made it so much about the characters that you kind of, as you're watching it, you don't feel like you're missing something because you've never played the games, right? Or you've never seen the YouTube videos. But Exit 8 became really popular with streamers and became a really big one that people played a lot, especially with the anomaly craze that's going on with a lot of horror streamers. And so then they made the movie out of it, and it did okay. But from what I understand, it just isn't playing in this same field as these other ones because it just didn't perform as well. But it is another movie that came out this very year with this same pedigree. It was a video game first. It got picked up by somebody, whether it was like The Culture or YouTube or whatever, and then it got turned into this thing. And it's been a pretty interesting kind of like subgenre that's developed this year.
Yeah. That's really interesting. Yeah, so it limited released in the US April 10th of 2026. But before that, it looks like it was initially released in Japan in 2025. So that's the other thing too. like Belarus, Russia, Estonia. Belarus and Russia on the 28th of August. A bunch of film festival stuff, and then in Japan on August 29th. What day of the week is that? I'm curious how Japan releases their movies. If it's the same as us, which is weird to say, but like, yeah, so it was a Friday release. So I don't know why Belarus and Russia released it on the 28th. But they did, according to IMDb. But I think that might be part of the issue, too, with like where it wasn't catching, is that like, once a specific genre does seem to catch fire, there are those people who go back to them. And certainly the release of that film finally in America in April of this year seems like, oh, well, Iron Lung did a really good job with like little to no marketing and just like the internet pushing it forward. So let's see if we can do it. Honestly, it feels like I feel like if they released it now, with just like even a modicum of marketing, it would probably do gangbusters because the world's like hungry for that stuff. They just released too soon, is what it seems like.
Yeah. They were a little too far ahead of the curve.
Yeah. But that's first of all, that sounds really interesting. Where you're just like the back page of Highlights magazine, and if you notice something off, we're gonna go backwards now. We're gonna turn the fuck around.
Yeah, and like sometimes it's something small, like hey, that sign is not in Japanese anymore, but now it's in like it's in Russian or something, and you're like that's different. Like it's not scary, but that's different. So I'm not gonna fuck with this because you don't know if like then around the corner there's a guy with a knife or something, right? But then there's other times where you walk into the hallway and there's just like, oh, that's a giant tidal wave of blood. I better turn the fuck around right now. Like there's like pretty obvious ones. So it's this like really interesting mix of you really never know what you're gonna get. You don't know if it's gonna be safe. You don't know if it's gonna be scary. You don't know if it's gonna be silly. You don't know like there's so much to it that that is more about what you don't know what it could be coming. That is just, that's the scariest thing of all, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the unknown is what's scary. It's why not seeing monsters in monster movies is what makes them scary. Jaws is scary until you see Jaws as that big like rubber shark on the deck of the ship.
Well, and I think that it's important to note that when you do see a successful monster reveal, I think The Ritual is the one that I'm thinking of that has this really awesome like the skull deer head thing with like bone, like human hands for antlers and stuff. It's really wild. And like the reveal though on that gives you more questions than answers. like when you get more questions than answers on a monster reveal, that is when it's truly successful, because like you don't want to see the monster and then have it just kind of ruin everything because you're just like, it looks like fucking Mac from Mac and Me.
So Steven Spielberg, if you ever decide to go back and futz around with Jaws the way that George Lucas, your very good friend, has done with some of his films, put Jaws in a sombrero when we finally see him on the Orca. Because I gotta tell you, everyone's gonna be like, where the fuck did he get the sombrero?
I was gonna say, give him a gun.
Give him a bandolier. Give him a bandolier and a sombrero. And it's like, well, he did come up from southern waters, right? Like, that's a real big part of the plot.
Oh, God.
Oh, jeez. I came to see the leaves change, and I just got here early. Give him a voice. Give him Christopher Walken's voice.
Badges.
Hello.
We don't need no stinking badges.
I'm gonna eat you now. I'm a shark.
Oh, God.
I killed Alex Kittner because I could. I was hungry. Okay, I gotta stop. I'm sorry. Anything else you want to make sure we talk about this episode? Because we've gotten to the bad Christopher Walken stuff. I like what you're saying about.
I've been going down a. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. It was your turn to talk. Actually, you picked up your cue beautifully.
No, I've been going down a weird little rabbit hole of a bunch of old, at this point, old ADHD shows. Do you remember? It was the animation domination thing that Fox was doing, but it was specifically the like Adult Swim version of it. They were doing, I think, on like Saturday nights. Yep. It would turn like at 11 o'clock. It would turn into ADHD or something like that.
High School, and they had a bunch USA, Axe Cop.
Yep.
Those are the two that like.
Axe Cop.
Those are the two I watched.
Well,
I know there were more.
the one that
those are the ones that
the
hit
one
for
that I
me.
fell in love with, the one that I adore and own all of because I don't think it's accessible anywhere anymore. Maybe on like Hulu was Stone Quackers, which was
the
this
ducks.
very very weird animated show about a group of friends that are all ducks and it's just this world that they live in, but like. That has nothing to do with any of the plots, right? There's an entire episode that is just Twin Peaks that is fucking wild.
Sejohn,
Like-
timeout. Zach Morris, timeout. You're in the timeout with me though. I've used my time freezing powers to include you. Is it called Twin Beaks?
No. There's some weird. So the season that is out there. There's one season.
Also, time in.
Out there
Sorry.
with 12 episodes. Like yeah, but there's one season out there with like 12 episodes, and what it was I'm pretty sure it was a 6-episode release, and then they did another 6-episode follow up, like when the first ones did well, but then it got canceled after one season because everything on ADHD basically did. Like I don't know much that had more than 2 or 3 seasons on that service.
Well, according to wow, that's insanity. According to its Wikipedia page, it went from July 21st, 2013 to March 5th, 2016. 2 of those years were on Fox. The last was on FXX. So that
the ADHD thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Lucas Brothers Moving Company, Major Laser.
Oh, Lucas Brothers! I
Yeah.
gotta go find Lucas Brothers Moving Company. That one was so good.
I love
just
the
remember
Lucas
the one where
Brothers.
they have to move into the apartment building that has the air conditioner on too high and everything is like an ice cave.
Yeah. Jeez,
Oh,
I
man.
can't believe that
Fucking
it was
wild
only
shit.
1, 2, 3, 4. Well, not even because there were the shorts that counted. That like would be like a thing, sort of like cartoons or like any of those things.
Well, and I always there's definitely Adult Swim stuff that I always accidentally think because I always think like China Illinois was in that group, but I'm pretty sure that was pure Adult Swim.
Right.
Because Brad Neely doing his shit with Adult Swim was always really big.
Yeah. And yeah, Lucas Brothers was I think just part of ADHD. Yeah, 2 seasons. First one on Fox, second one on FXX. But yeah, I always think of that as actually being Adult Swim, and it's not. It never was,
right.
according to this.
Yeah. So I've been going and taking a look at a bunch of that stuff, and like I said, right now I'm watching Stone Quackers, which is really ridiculous. The other funny thing about Stone Quackers, with that you're going to notice right away, is out of like the entire opening cast, I don't recognize the actors until you get to fucking John C. Reilly, who is playing a cop duck that is so styled after him that they must have created this character for John C. Reilly. And he is one of the main characters on the show.
Gosh, I think I might take a run through Stone Quackers. There's like
It's pretty
just
wild,
real
dude.
quick, and what's it? How genre black comedy, which is I don't know what that means, and they're 10 to 12 minute episodes too, right? So like starting with Aqua Teen Hunger Force this episode, ending with Stone Quacker. That makes sense. I get it now.
Yeah.
That's. Jeez, I really liked High School USA.
Not much else though.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, High School USA.
I mean, Dino Staminopoulos, I really liked him anyway, right? Starburns from Community, so that worked for me. And it kind of felt a little Clone High.
He's the guy that did Moral Oral, didn't he?
I think so. That sounds right.
Yeah.
Let's check
I'm
when I
pretty sure
click on him.
He was the one.
Created multiple TV series such as Moral Oral, Mary Shelley's Frankenhole. God, Frankenhole.
Oh,
is incredible.
Frankenhole. Good shit.
Yeah. And High School USA. So.
Nice.
And
High School USA wasn't stop motion though, right?
No, High School USA was animated. So, he did all
yeah.
sorts of stuff. And he was also part of the Dana Carvey show. I love the Dana Carvey show. Whenever I'm reminded of it, it just makes me smile.
That's such a wild bull, man.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So that's awesome. I'm really happy to hear about that. I mean, my old sort of lost media thing, and apparently it went up in like February of this year, but like, the Adventures of Pete and Pete saga, right? With the DVDs.
Yeah. I follow a deer creator on Twitter, or that I did follow a deer creator on Twitter that was for years begging Nickelodeon and Paramount to put out season 3 on DVD.
There was a person I ran into, like when I was hanging out in New York on the weekends, like staying at a flat because of course I'm British now, staying at my friend's apartment in Jersey City and just like hanging out with all sorts of people. Like I talked about it in the X-Men episode, right? Like being on the set of that Famke Jensen movie, that was part of that whole thing, right? Seeing Jason Schwartzman when he was doing the HBO where he was a private eye. What the fuck is the name of that show? With Ted Danson and Zach Bored to Death. Like running into Jason Schwartzman after meeting him as the drummer in Phantom Planet years later. Like, because I was invited to the Bored to Death set to just watch them film one day when they were in the Spy store buying all their little gadgets. Like that whole time, one of the people that like I ended up hanging out with, he told me, like, this is the type of thing, you know how, like, we've joked about Quentin Tarantino and the whole, like, this was our party story, was the whole Top Gun discussion about how, like, homoerotic the movie is. That's what we would talk about. His was about the third season, the DVDs of the third season of Pete and Pete release, and how he wound up in the hospital. And the only thing that got him through that stay in the hospital was knowing that that day he wound up admitted to the hospital, his pre-order of season 3 of The Adventures of Pete and Pete was supposed to arrive at his house. So that he was in the hospital, like, the way he tells the story, was like 3 or 4 months in the hospital. And literally what got me through that hospital stay was knowing that once I got out, I'd finally get to view the DVD for season 3 of Pete.
Man, I'm feeling really bad for Ted Danson right now.
I was trying to keep it a secret. Like, I already felt bad enough name dropping Ted Danson, but I'm like, nobody needs to know that this was Ted's story. And then he's like, and then they finally discharge me, and I'm I'm ready to be in the world again. And I get home, and it's not there. Like, it's not there. And I go to my roommate, I'm like, I didn't get any packages, and they're like, no. So I finally log in to my account, because this is before, like, we had phones that could, like, show us everything. I didn't have a smartphone at the time. I was just, like, stuck in the hospital, and that's what got me through. And I found out that they had canceled that order indefinitely. Like, it was indefinitely delayed. And he's like, on one hand, thankfully it got me through that hospitalization, but like it never came. And I'm sitting there listening to this story like, holy fucking shit. Because I know, right? Like there are people who he's telling this story to who don't know what happened with the third season of Pete and Pete. But, like, I know what the Shyamalalian-esque twist is going to be to this dude's story. And it's just, like, somehow that makes it more tragic.
Yeah.
But then, like, but also you're like, I'm just going to be quiet. I'm going to let you tell this story because the crowd is enraptured right now. That guy also was like, I love home movies, but I can't watch season 1. The squiggle vision kills me. And I'm like, but season 1's so good.
Yeah, no, that whole series is amazing.
It's not Bye Bye Greasy and I'll race. But yeah, it's, oh god, like that was a moment. So anyway, I found out like via Twitter that somebody this year found the digital transfers that were meant to go on the DVDs and just uploaded them to the Internet Archive. Now, I downloaded them, right? So I don't feel bad about the fact that, like, they're probably going to get taken down now that, like, a spotlight has been shown on them. But join the Discord. I'll put a link to it into supplemental materials. And I'm talking about it because that same day that I found that, Sejohn, I finally got invited to a for real, not secret, not you can't tell anybody about this, wedding for one of my friends in Connecticut, right? Like I fell in with a whole group of Connecticut friends in 2018 and like I've known a lot about secret marriages and things like that. And keep this a secret. I think not naming any names, I'll be okay. Know that it's more than one. That's what I'm going to say. If you're out there and you're going to get mad at me and be like, oh my God, I bet he was at this secret wedding. Because also, I'm talking, the wedding is important, right? There's a whole thing. There'll be a reveal at the end. Know that it's not just one that I was a part of. People were like, you know who needs to be a part of our secret, wedding? Is Devon Decker. I know he's a new friend, but he feels like the person who needs to be there.
Are you about to talk about how you got invited to T Swift and wedding? That she's not having in Rhode Island? Wink.
But she's not having it. She's definitely having
she's definitely in Madison Square Garden, right? Yeah.
Which, that upset me. The brief detour, and then we'll get back on this highway that I wanted to end the episode with. I was listening to the radio talk about it, and they're like, I can't believe that she's shutting down all of these streets for 4th of July. Now, yes, the permits that were found to shut down streets around Madison Square Garden do go into the 4th of July, but it doesn't shut them down for the entire 4th of July. It shuts it down the morning of 4th of July, which, yes, that does still create an inconvenience for people, but it doesn't mean that if you wanted to spend America's 250th birthday on the 4th of July around Madison Square Garden, you don't have the opportunity to do that.
Well, and what does shut the streets down mean? Because ain't nobody going to be driving into that mess.
No, not at all. It's just like side streets and things like that are getting closed. And I think it's getting closed so that looky-loos cannot get a glimpse of what's happening.
I understand why she would close those streets for the wedding.
Right.
I mean, for the 4th of July event, why would you care that those streets might be blocked off to driving anyway? You wouldn't be driving into that shit.
Right.
Unless you're out of your friggin' mind.
Out of your friggin' mind. Yeah, I don't know. But they're like, it's so rude that she would shut down streets all 4th of July. And I'm like, I need to look into this because, yeah, that's rude. But also, that would be stupid for the city of New York to do.
Yeah.
To shut down streets for the 4th of July. And no, they close at 9 p.m. on the 2nd. I want to get the actual thing. I want to give this stuff. I don't want to sound as, I think so, Taylor Swift.
As wishy-washy as everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. Madison Square Garden closure.
No, I am firmly in the camp that this is actually a really intelligent way to go about things. I mean, she has all the money in the world, so she can turn Madison Square Garden into a private event if she really wants to, right? Keep it to just the court level, right? And they could literally lay out turf for it, right? And they do everything in Madison Square Garden. I don't doubt that rolling out some grass to make it feel like it's more of an outdoorsy vibe. Put up some candlelight somewhere, and suddenly it becomes a really intimate space. So from a romantic standpoint, I think that she has got the ability to make that happen. From a practical standpoint, it's fucking aces. You're already talking about a facility that doesn't have any windows, has a ceiling, so you can't get drone shots. You have a facility that is already built for security of this nature, of people driving in limos and all that sort of shit. You have green rooms galore, right? You've got all of this facility stuff, catering, people know how to fucking cater Madison Square Garden, right? It is built for it. So there's just so much that is really smart about doing an event this big. People just hate the fact that her wedding is the kind of event that would merit this kind of shit. And they kind of can't wrap their heads around that being the case. But we literally have moments where people have taken private shots of her in her own kitchen in the house in Rhode Island because some guy got at just the right angle to get through all the security fencing with a long range lens and get a picture of her in her most private moments in her own home. Yeah. Right. This is a woman that needs to do these sorts of things in order to guarantee that not just her, but all of her guests that are going to be there, her family, this is an important event in her life. And the last thing that she needs is for it to be marked by some weird fucking celebrity event. Negative event, having somebody break in to try and say that they were in the wedding or pop out of a present or some shit,
Right.
Truman Show style.
You're exactly correct about that. Like, it's like she's allowed to have this stuff. Where you can get mad is if on July 5th it is revealed that they did not get married at Madison Square Garden. That the whole thing was a gaslight, like Fugazi sort of thing. And they inconvenienced you for something that did not happen. Like, then I would be pissed about that. That you close streets for that.
It's actually an interesting... I didn't consider that angle. That'd be wild.
Well, I didn't consider it either until, like, it's not happening in Rhode Island, co-wink. And I'm like, they are the type of people who, like, could file for permits to close those streets and could have a bunch of fake reservations made at hotels that look like they're football players in order to throw people off of the scent. Right? Like, this is the type of stuff that if you want it to be this intimate, not ruined by your celebrity experience, those are the type of things you do. So looking at it, they're closing it down July 2nd, July 3rd, through to around noontime on July 4th. So, like, yeah, but the only people who are really going to be inconvenienced are people who live around Madison Square Garden. Right? Like, people who live in the city. And yes, it's going to be an inconvenience for you, but, hi. That's what living in New York is.
That's what living near Madison Square Garden is.
Yeah, New York City is just constant inconveniences. That's why a lot of people don't live in the city. They just work there and commute in for their jobs.
Yeah, and I'm fine if somebody that lives in the area is bitching about it. That's one thing, because, like, yeah, that is...
You have every right to.
It's these people that live in, like, the fucking Midwest that are just, like, trying to hate on her for any reason, that are just like, God, how inconsiderate of her to do this. That it's just like, you don't need to speak up for those people. New Yorkers will speak up for themselves. Do not worry.
Watch Ghostbusters 2, Spider-Man 2, really any sequel that is set in New York, where the first movie was also set in New York, and you will understand that New Yorkers will speak up about things that are inconvenient to them. There's a whole genre, right? We should list all those movies that are about New Yorkers being like, hey, I'm pissed about this, in the second movie of the series. People in, like...
Gangs in New York, too.
Yeah, right? Yeah. That's a good one. First of all, Gangs of New York 2 is funny because in Gangs of New York, that's a pretty big thing, is New Yorkers speaking up about problems in New York. So, like, and not only the numeral, but TOO. That was funny, Siege. That was right up there with when David Howard said, really? Pride and Prejudice again? And someone in the class said, and that's what they're going to call it. Ah, good times, great oldies. So yeah, I actually finally got invited to one of these weddings, right? And it's not, I mean, if I got invited to Taylor Swift and Kelce's wedding, first of all, I feel like if the normal people are getting invited, they're getting their invitations like 12 hours before the ceremony. A helicopter will be here at exactly 3:09 p.m. and will be departing at 3:11 p.m. If you are not on it, apologies, but if you could be there, it'd be nice. Here's our registry, and you click on the registry.
Imagine being somebody that's like you're on call, like you may or may not get an invitation.
All I think
you're just sitting there ready to go for the day, and you don't know if it's going to show up.
All I can think of is it's one of the very early episodes of Difficult People. Well, let me bring it up. I want to make sure I get it out. Where Julie Klausner gets an invite to a Simpsons party. Like, she's like, oh, we got invited to the Simpsons party. And, like, for real, like, she got mailed a paper invitation to go to a party for the Simpsons. And she shows up with the invitation with Billy as her +1. And she's like, we're here for the party. And they're like, oh, yeah, actually, we have this down on the list. You were sent this in error. It was supposed to go to Julie Kavner, beloved voice actress who's been a part of The Simpsons since the beginning. And we were told to explicitly turn you away. Like, it's like one of those situations where, like, oh, I got invited to the Taylor Swift Travis Kelce wedding, and then you find out it's like, oh, yeah, no, we wanted to invite Desmond Decker, and unfortunately it went to Devon Decker. like maybe a clue would have been when Decker was spelt with 2 Ks, that there was an issue there. Sorry, that's just the closest one I could think of. Now I need to do something before I continue the episode. Let's see. I got real quiet. And Desmond, and Desmond Decker is dead. Like, he passed away in 2006. Rest in power. So it would also be like real crazy if I got invited to the wedding and then also found out that Desmond Decker has been alive for the past 20 years in secret, but he promised he would show up to Taylor Swift's wedding if it was to a Kansas City Chief. Like, I like that as the only thing too, as like, I'm faking my death, Taylor, and I need to let you know about it. I will come to your wedding if and only if you're marrying a football player from the Kansas City Chiefs. And Desmond Decker's like, man, thank God, my retirement, I faked my death, my life is good. And then suddenly, God damn it, she's dating Travis Kelce and he's on the Chiefs? Like, is she doing it on purpose?
I think we might be at the end of this episode.
Oh yeah, we're there. So I got to go to a for real wedding, and it was really nice. But like the whole reason why I'm talking about the wedding here is like it being at a wedding surrounded by people that I knew. Like, it was like any conversation felt like you could jump into it, and I have not recalibrated from that, which is why. Yesterday in Supergirl, when the people sitting at the end of the row I was in were like, I can't believe they didn't clean the theater before this. Because here's the other thing. There was an hour, a full hour. Sorry, there were 75 minutes between the end of Toy Story 5 and Supergirl's showtime. I thought they'd be like right on top of each other, so it'd be cool that I was sitting in the same seat. No, I had to kill almost an hour and a half before the movie, and they kick you out of the theater. Like, I couldn't just sit in the theater even though I had a ticket for the next one, because
not for an hour and a half.
No, not for an hour and a half. And like, and they come in to like clean, and it's like a troop of people who are sent in to clean, and they're talking about, oh, you should have seen it last week. Like, it was insane. That's why there are 4 of us sent to clean this right now. So then when like the 3 people sitting at the end of the row are like, there was like a pile of popcorn. I'm talking like Scrooge McDuck could go swimming in this popcorn if it were gold coins. And they're like, why didn't they clean this? And I'm like, here's the crazy thing. They had an hour and a half to clean it. So it just feels like they willfully ignored that giant pile of popcorn. Like, I'm sorry. And they're like, I'm like, what? And I'm like, I was in the film before this one, and 4 people came in to clean, and like, look at what is still at your feet. I'm sorry. It's not my fault, but like, somebody should say I'm sorry to you. And then inserting myself with the people in front of me. It's because I'm still in Devon at wedding mode, which is not a mode I have used for like 15 years. I think the last wedding I attended was 15 years ago. And like that whole like, oh, you can talk to anybody because you have some relationship to anybody at this wedding. So like, I just want to thank Justin and Liz for not just only allowing me to be a part of your day, but for fucking my brain up. So I think I can talk to anybody in the world again. Though I got to tell you, listen to how happy I am right now, Sejohn. Like I've been kind of doom and gloom the last few episodes. I'm feeling good again. I'm feeling very Olympic. You know what I thought we were going to talk about when we got together on Wednesday? I thought this episode was going to be me bitching about the Steam Machine's price for the entire runtime. And right now, I'm only bringing it up to say, like, you didn't have to listen to that episode. Aren't you glad you're in this timeline?
Excellent.
Oh, jeez. All right. So yeah, I think that's pretty solid for everything. So just so everybody knows, we do have a couple of excused absences episodes that are going to be coming up, because next week is 4th of July weekend, and I don't want to work on 4th of July weekend. So
Yeah.
And we did it with Jaws last year, so like we kind of set a precedent. And there's a little movie that I'm a huge fan of that's celebrating its 40th anniversary. I believe Sejohn is a fan as well. One Crazy Summer, right? Are you a One Crazy Summer guy, Sejohn?
Huge. Yeah, no, I love One Crazy Summer. Yeah.
So to celebrate its 40th anniversary, next week's episode is going to be on One Crazy Summer. So if you want to prepare for it, if you've never seen it or you haven't seen it for a couple of years, maybe 40, right? You saw it in theaters and then haven't seen it since. We're talking about One Crazy Summer next episode. And then the week after that, both Sejohn and I have independent things that came up in our lives. So we're doing another excused absence episode, and we're using that as an excuse to bring the Tom Arnold trilogy series to a close. So Carpool is going to be the topic of the episode that releases on July 13th. So again, if you want to make sure that you're prepared for those, the July 6th episode is going to be on One Crazy Summer. There might be some other fun surprise stuff in there. If you're not really into One Crazy Summer, so you might still want to tune in. And then on the 13th, we'll be finishing the Tom Arnold trilogy by watching Carpool and talking about Carpool.
Wow. I can't believe we did it, but yeah.
Yeah, no, somebody had to. You know what? Somebody had to be brave enough to watch Big Bully, The Stupids, and Carpool. And unfortunately, we drew the short straw. I mean, unfortunately, we're brave enough. All of that said, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of The Say Report. As a reminder, if this is somehow the very first episode of The Say Report that you have ever listened to, let us know about that. Because, apologies. This was an unhinged 2 hours of entertainment. And I didn't put entertainment in air quotes, but maybe I should have. But if you do want to keep the conversation going after this episode, you can find us on Discord. Invitations to join our Discord are available wherever we are on social media, which as of this recording is Facebook and X, formerly Twitter. Navigate to our bio section and you'll find a link that if you click on it, it'll let you join the Discord. And you're going to want to be part of the Discord if you want to see the exact same trailer for Digger that we watched. And if you want to get your hands on those digital transfers of Pete and Pete Season 3 that are still currently up on the Internet Archive. Actually, I'm going to pause 1 second to confirm that they are still up there before I make that promise. I put those in,
that's fair.
I just put those in general, right? No, I don't think I did. Business would have made sense.
No, it might have been just direct to me.
Did I just send them directly to you? Yeah, I did. That's exactly what I did. So let's just see if they're up there before we go any further. They are still up there as of this recording. So, go out there.
We didn't want to put something like that in business because that's a paper trail to our taxes.
But yeah, so join
all it takes is one audit and they'll find out everything, Devon.
Yeah, join the Discord. You'll be able to see all the supplemental material that we referenced in this week's episode. If you're not on social media, but you still want to join the Discord, a direct email to us, TheSayReport@gmail.com. Perfect way to get facilitated with an invitation to join the Discord. Also, you know what? If you are a first-time listener on Mel Brooks Made It, that's where you should send the email to. Send it to TheSayReport@gmail.com so that we know that you exist. And legitimately, I will send you a prize. You will get a prize from Devon Decker. And hopefully you'll enjoy it. Hopefully it'll be something fun. I have no idea what this prize is going to be for you sitting through this first episode, this as your first episode of The Say Report. But also, if Discord is too much like social media for you and you still want to communicate with us, TheSayReport@gmail.com is the best way to do that. Just make sure that you put my name, Devon Decker, or his name, Sejohn Sarowick, in the subject line if the information you're sending is specifically for that Say Reporter. We'll make sure that it's distributed to them so that they're the only one who gets to read your hopes, dreams, and desire for that individual. Also, Tay and KT, or TK, yeah, TK, right? Travis Kelce, Tay and TK. If I were a professional, I'd pause it and re-record it. I'm not doing that. But Tay and TK, if you want to invite the Say Reporters to your wedding, TheSayReport@gmail.com. That's where you just send that invitation. We'll be very discreet about it. What we won't be discreet about is if you send something to me and I'm like, this is a topic I need to discuss with Sejohn, I'm going to bring it up in an episode. That's just the thing about the internet. Anything that you put out there is open to being used for content. And if you do it specifically to something like the Say Report or something that someone's creating, is open to being discussed on that creator's creation. Just a thing to keep in mind. And it keeps our non-existent lawyers happy. David Xanatos, I have an action figure of him in the studio. He's winking at me about how happy I am, of how litigious I'm sounding right now. All of that said, again, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Say Report. We'll see you next week with a new episode covering One Crazy Summer. And without any further ado, William, please bring us home.
Thank you for listening to the Say Report with your host Devon Decker and Sejohn Serwick. Please follow the guys on Twitter and Facebook by searching for The Say Report, and you can always subscribe on your podcast channel so this is delivered straight to you and you can enjoy it every week. With apologies to your mother, we'll see you next time.